Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Harbinger and watched the stars through the main screen. His crew had been out here for 3 months looking for signs of alien life. Earth wanted to know if humans were alone in the universe. Jake hoped they would find something soon because his people were getting tired of the long mission. The ship moved slowly through space near a system called Kepler 442. The science team said this place might have planets where life could grow. Jake walked around the bridge and checked on his crew. Lieutenant Ben Harris worked at the communication station. Dr. Lisa Hayes studied readings from her science equipment. Captain Rick Stone stood ready at the weapons control. Ben suddenly looked up from his station with wide eyes. He pressed buttons fast and turned to Jake with excitement in his voice. He had found something big on the sensors. A ship was coming toward them from behind one of the planets. The ship looked different from anything humans had ever built. Jake told his crew to get ready. He wanted to make contact with whoever was on that ship. This could be the moment that changed everything for humanity. Ben tried to send radio messages to the alien ship. He used different frequencies in different languages. He even tried math and music. The alien ship did not answer back. The strange ship came closer. It looked like it was made of crystal that shone with blue and white light. The ship was bigger than the Harbinger and moved in ways that seemed impossible. It could turn and stop without following the normal rules of physics that human ships had to obey. Lisa watched her instruments and told Jake that the alien ship was scanning them. The energy readings were unlike anything she had seen before. The technology was far beyond what humans could build. She felt scared and excited at the same time. Rick kept his hand near the weapon controls, but Jake told him to wait. Jake tried to think of what to say to beings from another world. He wanted to show that humans came in peace. He told Ben to send a message saying that they were explorers from Earth who wanted to be friends. Ben sent the message and waited for an answer. The alien ship stopped moving and hung in space about 1 kilometer away. Jake could see details on its surface now. Strange symbols glowed along the sides. The crystal hull seemed to pulse with energy like a beating heart. Then something happened that changed everything. Without any warning, the alien ship fired at them. Beams of red energy hit the Harbinger and shook the whole ship. Alarms started ringing and people shouted across the bridge. Jake fell down but got up quickly and ordered Rick to fire back. The human weapons seemed weak compared to the alien technology. Rick fired the ship's laser cannons, but the beams just bounced off the crystal hull. The alien ship fired again, and this time the hit was stronger. Lights went out across the bridge and Lisa's equipment started smoking. Jake knew they had to do something fast or his crew would die. Jake ordered Ben to send out a distress signal to Earth. He told Rick to keep firing even if the weapons were not working well. He needed to buy time to think of a plan. The alien ship was too strong to fight in normal ways. Jake had to be smart and use surprise. He told his pilot to ram the Harbinger into the alien ship. The pilot looked shocked, but Jake explained that they would die anyway if they kept fighting. At least this way they might learn something about the aliens before they died. The crew got ready for impact. The Harbinger rushed toward the crystal ship. Jake watched the alien vessel grow bigger on the screen. At the last second, he told his crew to prepare for boarding action. Instead of just crashing, they would try to get inside the enemy ship. The two ships hit each other with a loud crash that echoed through both vessels. The crystal hull cracked where the Harbinger struck it. Air and strange gases leaked out of the alien ship. Jake grabbed his weapon and led a team of 6 Marines through the hole in the enemy hull. Inside the alien ship, everything looked strange. The walls curved in impossible ways and strange lights floated in the air without being attached to anything. The gravity felt different and made walking hard. Jake's team moved carefully through corridors that seemed to change shape as they walked. They found the first alien in a room full of floating screens and crystal panels. The being was tall with 4 arms and skin that changed colors like an oil spill. When it saw the humans, it reached for a weapon, but Rick was faster and shot it with a stun blast. The alien fell down but was still alive. Its big eyes looked at the humans with what seemed like fear and surprise. Jake told his team to carry the unconscious being back to their ship. This was their chance to learn about aliens even if both ships were badly damaged. More aliens appeared in the corridors and fought against Jake's team. The human weapons worked better inside the ship where there was no crystal hull to protect the aliens. Jake's Marines were trained for combat and fought their way back to the hole between the ships. They carried the unconscious alien to the Harbinger, just as both ships started to break apart. The collision had damaged both vessels beyond repair. Jake ordered everyone to get to the escape pods as fast as possible. The alien prisoner was put in a special pod with life support that Dr. Hayes hoped would keep it alive. The Harbinger and the alien ship both exploded in bright flashes of light. Jake and his crew floated in space in their escape pods and watched the pieces drift away. They had lost their ship but gained something more valuable. They had proof that aliens existed, and one of them was now their prisoner. Ben's distress signal had worked, and a rescue ship from Earth arrived 2 days later. Jake and his crew were brought back home along with their alien captive. As they traveled back to Earth, Jake wondered what they would learn from their prisoner. He also wondered why the aliens had attacked without trying to talk first. The answers to those questions would change humanity forever. The alien prisoner woke up 3 days after arriving on Earth. Dr. Lisa Hayes stood outside the holding cell and watched through thick glass as the being opened its large eyes. The creature looked around the room with curiosity instead of fear. This surprised Lisa because most prisoners would be scared in a strange place. The alien was kept in a special room deep underground at a military base in Colorado. The room had air that the creature could breathe and lights that matched the spectrum from its homeworld. Lisa and her team had worked hard to keep the prisoner alive and healthy. Lieutenant Colonel Danny Brooks walked into the observation area and stood next to Lisa. He was in charge of getting information from the alien. Danny had questioned many human prisoners in his career, but this was different. He was not sure how to talk to a being from another world. The alien stood up and walked to the glass. It was even taller than Lisa remembered from the recordings. Its forearms moved in smooth motions and its skin shifted between blue and green colors. The creature's face had features that were almost human but not quite right. Its eyes were too large and its mouth was too wide. Lisa pressed a button that let her talk to the prisoner through a speaker system. She spoke slowly and clearly in English. She did not expect the alien to understand, but she had to try. To her amazement, the creature answered back in perfect English with only a slight accent. The alien said its name was Vex Ka, and that it belonged to something called the Talon Empire. It asked if Jake Morrison and his crew were still alive. Lisa was shocked that the creature knew Jake's name. She asked how it could speak English so well. Vex Ka explained that his people had been watching Earth for many years. They had learned human languages by listening to radio signals and studying television broadcasts. The Talon Empire knew more about humans than humans knew about themselves. Danny entered the holding room with 2 guards. He wanted to ask questions face to face instead of talking through glass. Vex Ka did not seem afraid of the armed men. Instead, the alien seemed almost happy to see them, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Danny asked why the Talon ship had attacked the Harbinger without warning. He expected Vex Ka to refuse to answer, or to lie about military secrets. Instead, the alien gave an answer that made both humans feel cold with fear. Vex Ka said that his people had tried to stop the Harbinger before it could return to Earth. The Talon Empire knew that first. Contact between humans and aliens would start something terrible. The attack was meant to destroy the human ship and prevent what was coming next. When Danny asked what was coming next, Vex Ka looked sad. The alien said it was already too late to stop what would happen. Humans had captured him and learned that aliens existed. Now the galaxy would have to deal with humanity spreading to other worlds. Lisa asked why this was a bad thing. She said humans were peaceful and just wanted to explore and make friends with other species. Vex Ka made a sound that might have been laughter. He said humans did not understand what they really were, or why other species feared them. Danny demanded to know what Vex Ka meant. The alien asked if he could show them something that would explain everything. Danny was suspicious but agreed to let Vex Ka use a small device from his belongings. The device created pictures made of light that floated in the air. The first picture showed a map of part of the galaxy. Hundreds of star systems were marked in different colors. Vex Ka explained that the red systems belonged to the Talon Empire. The blue systems belonged to other alien species that were part of a big alliance. The yellow systems were neutral or empty. Vex Ka pointed to a tiny dot at the edge of the map. That dot was Earth's solar system. Lisa felt small when she saw how little space humans occupied compared to the vast alien empires. She asked how many species lived in the galaxy. The alien said there were over 60 different intelligent species that the Talon Empire knew about. Most of them had been around for thousands or millions of years. Their technology was advanced and their civilizations were stable. They had learned to live in peace with each other after many wars long ago. Danny asked why aliens would be afraid of humans if they were so much more advanced. Vexka changed the pictures to show scenes from human history. Lisa saw battles from different time periods. Ancient warriors with swords and shields, soldiers with guns and tanks, modern armies with missiles and aircraft. Vexka explained that his people had been watching Earth for over 300 years. They had seen every major war that humans had fought. The Talon Empire had detailed records of human military tactics and strategies. What they learned had frightened them more than any weapon. The aliens said that most species in the galaxy fought wars to survive or to defend their homes. When the fighting ended, they spent long periods of time recovering and avoiding conflict. War was seen as a terrible thing that should be prevented whenever possible. Humans were different. Vexka showed them how human military technology had improved rapidly over just a few centuries. Other species took thousands of years to make similar advances. Humans seemed to use war itself as a way to develop new ideas and better ways of fighting. Lisa watched as the pictures showed human armies learning from their defeats and becoming stronger. Every lost battle taught humans something new. Every enemy showed them a different way to fight. Instead of being weakened by war, humans were strengthened by it. Danny asked if this was really so unusual. Vexka said that in 300 years of watching Earth, the Talon Empire had never seen anything like it. Humans turned every disadvantage into an advantage. They took ideas from their enemies and made them better. They never made the same mistake twice. The most frightening thing was how fast humans adapted to new situations. Vexka showed recordings from the battle between his ship and the Harbinger. Jake Morrison had done things that no Talon commander would have thought possible. Ramming ships together was considered insane by alien standards, but Jake's crazy plan had worked. The humans had captured a prisoner and gained valuable information. In just a few minutes of combat, Jake had shown tactical thinking that impressed and terrified the alien military analysts who studied the battle. Vexka said that his people now realized they had made a terrible mistake. The attack on the Harbinger was supposed to be a test to see how humans would react. The Talon Empire wanted to know if humans were as dangerous as their records suggested. The test had confirmed their worst fears. Not only were humans dangerous, but they were unpredictable and creative in ways that no computer model could predict. Jake Morrison's actions during the battle had already been studied and copied by human military leaders. Lisa asked what would happen now. Vexka looked directly at her and said that the galaxy was preparing for war. Every major alien civilization was getting ready to fight against humanity before humans could spread to other star systems. The question was whether they would attack first or wait for humans to become even more dangerous. General Patricia Wells arrived at the Colorado base on a cold morning in November. She had flown directly from Washington after reading the reports about Vexka and his warnings about galactic war. Patricia had spent 30 years in the military and had never seen intelligence reports that worried her as much as these did. Professor Alan Carter came with Patricia on the same flight. Alan taught history at Harvard University and was considered an expert on human warfare throughout the ages. Patricia wanted him to listen to what Vexka had to say about human military development. She needed someone who understood war from an academic perspective. Danny Brooks met them at the entrance to the underground facility. He looked tired after spending days questioning the alien prisoner. Danny explained that Vexka seemed eager to share information as if he wanted humans to understand something important before it was too late. Patricia and Alan were given security clearances and briefed on everything that had happened since Jake Morrison's crew had captured the alien. They watched recordings of the battle and read transcripts of all conversations with Vexka. Alan was particularly interested in the aliens' comments about human military adaptation. The three humans entered the holding area where Vexka waited. The alien stood up when he saw them and seemed to recognize that these were important people. Patricia introduced herself and Alan. Vexka said he was honored to meet a human general and a scholar of human warfare. Patricia asked Vexka to explain exactly what made humans different from other species in the galaxy. She wanted specific details that her military planners could understand and use. The alien created new holographic displays that showed more detailed information about galactic civilizations. Vexka began by describing how most intelligent species experienced warfare. He showed pictures of alien battles from thousands of years ago. The conflicts followed predictable patterns. Armies would fight until one side won or both sides agreed to stop. The losers would surrender and accept defeat. The winners would take what they wanted, and then both sides would try to avoid fighting again. Alan asked how long it usually took for alien species to recover from major wars. Vexka said that most species needed several generations to rebuild and heal from the trauma of combat. War was seen as a failure of diplomacy and something to be ashamed of. Young aliens were taught that violence was the last resort of desperate people. Patricia found this attitude hard to understand. In human history, war had often led to rapid technological advancement and social change. She asked Vexka to show them how human warfare was different from the alien norm. The holographic display changed to show scenes from human military history. Vexka had incredibly detailed records that surprised both Patricia and Alan. The alien archives contained information about battles that even historians had forgotten. Every major conflict in human history had been observed and analyzed by the Talon Empire. Vexka pointed to the differences between human and alien approaches to warfare. When aliens lost battles, they typically retreated and tried to avoid similar situations in the future. When humans lost battles, they studied what went wrong and developed new tactics to prevent the same mistakes. The aliens showed them examples from World War II. After early defeats, human forces had quickly adapted their strategies and equipment. New technologies were developed in months instead of years. Entire industries were converted to military production almost overnight. The speed of human military adaptation was far beyond anything aliens had seen. Alan was fascinated by the alien perspective on human military evolution. He asked Vexka about specific battles and was amazed by the detailed analysis. The aliens had studied human tactics more thoroughly than most human military historians. Patricia wanted to know what made human military thinking so different. Vexka explained that humans seemed to view war as a learning experience rather than just a destructive event. Each conflict taught humans new ways to fight and new technologies to develop. Instead of avoiding war, humans appeared to embrace its lessons. The most disturbing revelation came when Vexka showed them records of human conflicts that the Talon Empire had tried to influence. Several times, alien observers had provided secret help to the weaker side in human wars, hoping to prevent quick victories that would teach humans too much. Alan asked for specific examples. Vexka showed them evidence that aliens had provided technology and resources to various groups throughout human history. The goal had been to keep human conflicts balanced and prevent any side from gaining too much advantage too quickly. Patricia was angry when she learned that aliens had been interfering in human affairs for centuries. She demanded to know why the Talon Empire thought it had the right to manipulate human development. Vexka said his people had been trying to slow down human military advancement because they feared what would happen when humans reached the stars. The alien explained that most species took millions of years to develop, from primitive weapons to space travel. Humans had done the same thing in just a few thousand years. The rate of human technological development was unprecedented in galactic history. Danny asked what would happen if humans continued to develop at their current rate. Vexka said that within a few generations, humans would have technology that could challenge the most advanced alien civilizations. The gap between human and alien capabilities was closing much faster than anyone had expected. Professor Carter wanted to know more about how aliens viewed human military leadership. Vexka showed them detailed studies of famous human commanders throughout history. The aliens were particularly interested in leaders who had won battles against superior forces through creative thinking and unconventional tactics. The aliens said that human military leaders seemed to have an instinct for finding weaknesses in enemy defenses and exploiting them in unexpected ways. This kind of tactical creativity was rare among alien species who tended to follow established patterns of warfare. Patricia asked about Jake Morrison and his decision to ram his ship into the alien vessel. Vexka said that no alien commander would have attempted such a dangerous maneuver. The idea of deliberately damaging your own ship to gain an advantage was considered insane by alien military standards. But Jake's plan had worked perfectly. The humans had captured valuable intelligence and a prisoner while destroying a superior enemy vessel. The battle had become a case study in human military thinking that was being analyzed by alien war colleges across the galaxy. Vexka revealed that the Talon Empire had been preparing for a possible war with humanity for over 50 years. They had built new weapons and trained their forces specifically to fight against human tactics. Other alien civilizations were doing the same thing. The most chilling part of Vexka's revelation was his admission that despite all their preparations, the aliens were not confident they could win a war against humanity. Human unpredictability and rapid adaptation made them nearly impossible to plan against. Alan asked if there was any way to avoid the coming conflict. Vexka said that some aliens wanted to try diplomacy, but most believed that humans were too dangerous to be allowed to spread throughout the galaxy. The decision would probably be made by force rather than negotiation. Patricia realized that humanity was facing the greatest threat in its history. An entire galaxy of advanced alien civilizations was preparing to destroy human civilization before it could become too powerful. The irony was that human military excellence had made them so feared that war was now inevitable. Captain Rick Stone worked alongside Major Kate Phillips in the communication center that had been built around Vexka's captured technology. They had spent weeks learning how to use the alien equipment to intercept messages from across the galaxy. Lieutenant Ben Harris helped them decode the transmissions using translation, software developed from their conversations with the prisoner. The first intercepted message came from a star system 40 light years from Earth. Rick listened through headphones as alien voices discussed something called the human protocol. The voices spoke in a language that sounded like music mixed with static, but the computer translated their words into English. The aliens were talking about military preparations. They mentioned fleets of warships being moved to strategic positions near human space. Kate wrote down everything she heard and noticed that the aliens seemed nervous when they talked about fighting humans. Even though they had superior technology, they were worried about the outcome. Ben found more transmissions on different frequencies. Messages were flowing between dozens of alien civilizations. They were all talking about the same thing. Humanity had become the galaxy's primary concern. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years were working together to plan for war against Earth. Major Phillips brought the recorded messages to General Wells and Professor Carter. The three military officers and the historian listened to hours of alien communications. What they learned confirmed their worst fears about the situation facing humanity. The aliens had detailed intelligence about human military capabilities. They knew about every weapon system and every military base on Earth. Some of the information was so accurate that it could only have come from direct observation over many years. The galaxy had been watching humanity much more closely than anyone had realized. Rick discovered that the aliens had names for famous human military leaders throughout history. They had studied battles from every major war and analyzed the tactics used by both sides. Alien military academies taught courses about human warfare as examples of dangerous and unpredictable fighting methods. The most disturbing discovery came when Ben found a transmission that mentioned specific human individuals by name. The aliens knew about Jake Morrison and his crew. They had detailed files on military leaders from around the world. Some of the information had been gathered just days before the first contact battle. Kate brought this intelligence to Vexka during one of their regular questioning sessions. She wanted to know how the aliens had gathered so much detailed information about Earth. The prisoner seemed surprised that humans were able to intercept galactic communication so quickly. Vexka explained that the Talon Empire had observation posts throughout the galaxy. Some of these stations had been watching Earth for centuries. They used advanced sensors to monitor radio transmissions and satellite communications. Nothing that humans broadcast into space had been private. The alien said that his people had also sent scout ships to the edge of the solar system. These vessels were too small and too advanced for human sensors to detect. They had taken detailed photographs and recorded everything that happened on Earth and around the other planets. Professor Carter asked why the aliens had invested so much effort in studying humanity. Vexka said that after analyzing human history, his people had realized they were dealing with something completely new. No species in the galaxy had ever shown the same combination of aggression and adaptability. The intercepted messages revealed that alien military planners were struggling to develop effective strategies against human forces. Traditional tactics that worked against other species seemed useless when applied to humans. Every simulation and war game ended with human forces finding unexpected ways to win battles they should have lost. Rick found a particularly interesting transmission from a species called the Zephyrians. Their military leaders were discussing the Jake Morrison incident and trying to understand how a human commander had managed to defeat a technologically superior opponent. The aliens seemed genuinely puzzled by human tactical thinking. The Zephyrian analysis concluded that humans approached warfare in a fundamentally different way than any known species. Instead of following established doctrines, humans seemed to invent new strategies during the middle of battles. This made them nearly impossible to predict or counter. Ben discovered that multiple alien species were sharing intelligence about humanity through a secure communication network. The level of cooperation was unprecedented in galactic history. Species that had been at war with each other for millennia were working together because they all feared the same threat. Major Phillips organized the intercepted messages by topic and date. She created a timeline that showed how alien attitudes toward humanity had changed over the past year. Before the first contact incident, most aliens had viewed humans as an interesting but harmless species. After the battle with the Harbinger, everything had changed. The turning point seemed to be Jake Morrison's decision to ram his ship into the alien vessel. This single action had convinced the galaxy that humans were not just dangerous, but completely unpredictable. No computer model had predicted such a desperate and creative response to superior firepower. Kate found messages discussing something called the Builder Protocols. These were apparently ancient security procedures that had not been used for thousands of years. The fact that aliens were considering these extreme measures suggested that they viewed humanity as an existential threat to galactic civilization. Vexka became more talkative when Kate asked him about the Builder Protocols. The alien said that these procedures had been developed long ago to deal with a species that had threatened the entire galaxy. The details were classified at the highest levels, but Vexka hinted that the situation had ended badly for everyone involved. Rick intercepted a message that mentioned specific dates for military mobilization. Alien fleets were being assembled at staging areas throughout the galaxy. The scale of the preparations was massive. Hundreds of species were contributing ships and soldiers to what appeared to be the largest military alliance in galactic history. The timeline suggested that the aliens were planning to act within the next few months. They wanted to attack Earth before humans could develop better space travel technology or establish colonies on other planets. The window for preventing human expansion was closing rapidly. Ben found evidence that some alien leaders opposed the plan to attack humanity. These voices argued for diplomatic contact and peaceful coexistence. However, they seemed to be in the minority. Most alien civilizations had concluded that war was inevitable, and that striking first was their best chance of victory. Professor Carter was particularly interested in messages that discussed human military history. The aliens had analyzed every major conflict and identified patterns that they found disturbing. Humans seemed to learn from each war and emerge stronger than before. This cycle of conflict and improvement was unique in the galaxy. General Wells realized that the intercepted communications gave humanity a significant intelligence advantage. The aliens did not know that humans could understand their messages. This meant that Earth's military leaders could prepare for the coming conflict with detailed knowledge of enemy plans and capabilities. The most important discovery came when Kate found a message that revealed the existence of something called the Central Command. This was apparently a secret organization that coordinated military planning between different alien species. The message contained coordinates for the location of their main headquarters. Vexka confirmed that the Central Command was real when Kate confronted him with the information. The alien seemed resigned to the fact that humans were learning galactic secrets much faster than anyone had expected. He said that his people had underestimated human intelligence gathering capabilities. The prisoner explained that the Central Command had been formed specifically to deal with the human threat. It brought together the best military minds from dozens of different species. Their job was to develop strategies that could defeat human forces, despite their reputation for tactical innovation. Rick, Kate, and Ben continued monitoring alien communications around the clock. They were gathering intelligence that would be vital for Earth's survival in the coming war. Every intercepted message revealed more details about enemy plans and weaknesses that human forces might be able to exploit. President Helen Cruz arrived at the Colorado facility on a winter morning when snow covered the mountains around the secret base. She had canceled all her other meetings to hear what the alien prisoner had to say. The reports from General Wells and her team were so disturbing that Helen needed to understand the full situation before making decisions that would affect all of humanity. Helen was accompanied by her chief of staff and 3 members of the National Security Council. They were given the highest level security briefing and shown all the evidence that had been gathered over the past month. The intercepted alien communications painted a picture of a galaxy united against Earth. Vexka seemed to recognize the importance of the new visitors. When Helen entered the holding area, the alien stood up and spoke in a formal tone that had not been heard before. He said he was honored to meet the leader of humanity and hoped that their conversation would help both species avoid unnecessary destruction. Helen asked Vexka to explain why the galaxy feared humans so much that they were willing to start a war. She wanted to understand the alien perspective and see if there was any way to prevent the coming conflict through diplomacy or negotiation. The alien created a new holographic display that showed star maps dating back millions of years. He explained that the current galactic civilization was actually the second major period of intelligent life in this part of the universe. Long ago, there had been another civilization that had grown too powerful and had to be stopped. Vexka said that ancient records spoke of a species called the Builders who had once controlled thousands of star systems. The Builders had been incredibly advanced and had possessed technology that made current alien civilizations look primitive. They had also been the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever known. Professor Carter asked what had made the Builders so dangerous. Vexka explained that they had the same characteristics that made humans frightening to modern aliens. The Builders learned from every conflict and emerged stronger from each war. They adapted to new situations faster than their enemies could respond. The Builders had started small like humanity. They had begun with a single planet and gradually expanded to nearby star systems. At first, other species had not been concerned because the Builders seemed peaceful and were interested mainly in exploration and trade. But as the Builders encountered resistance to their expansion, they had developed increasingly sophisticated military capabilities. Each species that fought against them had inadvertently taught the Builders new ways to wage war. Within a few thousand years, the Builders had become unstoppable. Helen asked what had happened to the Builders. Vexka said that the ancient records were incomplete, but they told a story of a galaxy-wide war that had lasted for centuries. Every intelligent species had eventually united against the Builders in a final desperate attempt to prevent their own extinction. The war had been devastating for everyone involved. Entire star systems had been destroyed and countless species had been driven to extinction. In the end, the Allied forces had managed to defeat the Builders, but the victory had come at a terrible cost. Galactic civilization had taken millions of years to recover. General Wells asked if Vexka was suggesting that humans were related to the Builders. The alien said that his people had recently made a disturbing discovery. Genetic analysis of human DNA showed that humans were not native to Earth. They had been placed there by someone else, millions of years ago. The genetic markers in human DNA were identical to samples that had been recovered from ancient Builder sites. This meant that humans were not just similar to the Builders. They were the direct descendants of the most dangerous species in galactic history. Dr. Hayes had been listening to the conversation through the communication system. She entered the holding area and asked Vexka to provide more details about the genetic analysis. The alien showed her holographic displays of DNA sequences that were unmistakably human. Vexka explained that the Builders had apparently sent colony ships to many different worlds before their civilization was destroyed. Earth had been one of those worlds. The humans who lived there today were the descendants of Builder colonists who had survived the ancient war. The revelation explained why humans were so different from other species in the galaxy. They had inherited the Builder instincts for warfare and adaptation. Millions of years of evolution on Earth had not changed these fundamental characteristics. Professor Carter wanted to know if there were other worlds with Builder descendants. Vexka said that survey teams had found evidence of Builder colonies on dozens of planets, but Earth was the only world where the descendants had survived and developed advanced civilization. Helen asked why humanity was considered more dangerous than the original Builders. Vexka said that the Builders had been powerful, but they had also been arrogant. They had conquered other species through superior technology and overwhelming force. Humans were different because they had started from nothing and had to fight for everything they achieved. Millions of years of conflict and struggle on Earth had made them more creative and resourceful than the original builders had ever been. The aliens said that builder records showed they had typically dominated their enemies through technological superiority. When they encountered resistance, they would simply develop better weapons until their opponents were forced to surrender. This approach had eventually led to their downfall when the entire galaxy united against them. Humans had learned to win battles even when they were outgunned and outnumbered. They had developed the ability to turn disadvantages into advantages and to find creative solutions to impossible problems. This made them more dangerous than the builders had ever been. Major Phillips asked if there was any way to prove that humans were really builder descendants. Vexka said that ancient builder sites contained genetic locks that would only respond to builder DNA. If humans could activate these locks, it would provide definitive proof of their heritage. The alien revealed that there was a builder facility in a star system only 20 light years from Earth. The facility had been sealed for millions of years, but it contained technology and records that would answer many questions about human origins. General Wells realized that accessing the builder facility would require humans to develop faster than light travel. Current human technology was not advanced enough to reach other star systems quickly. Vexka said that his ship had contained FTL drive components that human scientists might be able to reverse engineer. Helen asked what would happen if humans gained access to builder technology. Vexka said that it would confirm the galaxy's worst fears about human potential. The alien civilizations would probably launch their attack immediately, rather than risk allowing humans to become even more powerful. Dr. Hayes asked if there was any alternative to war. Vexka said that some alien leaders wanted to try diplomatic solutions, but they were opposed by those who remembered the ancient war against the builders. The trauma of that conflict still influenced galactic politics after millions of years. The aliens said that humanity faced a difficult choice. They could try to hide their true nature and hope that the galaxy would leave them alone. This might prevent war in the short term, but it would also mean giving up their potential for expansion and growth. Alternatively, humans could embrace their heritage and prepare for the coming conflict. This would mean rapid military buildup and the development of new technologies based on builder principles. War would be inevitable, but humans would have a better chance of survival. Commander Jake Morrison had been brought to the facility to hear Vexka's final revelations. He asked the alien what he thought humans should do. Vexka said that in his opinion war was already inevitable, regardless of what humans chose to do. The galaxy had made its decision based on fear and ancient trauma. The only question now was whether humans would be ready when the attack came. Jake said that humanity had never backed down from a fight and would not start now. Helen realized that she was facing the most important decision in human history. The choice she made would determine whether humanity survived as an independent species or was destroyed by a galaxy that feared its potential. She looked at the alien prisoner, and the evidence he had provided Helen understood that the age of human isolation was ending. Whether through diplomacy or war, humanity was about to take its place among the stars. The only question was whether they would be welcomed or hunted by their new neighbors.